Welcome back to our daily devotional. Today we are starting the book of Zechariah, one of the last books of the Old Testament. And Zechariah, especially in these first few chapters, has a lot of visions. Throughout the Old Testament, we have seen various men of God have visions. Most recently, as Daniel. Sometimes visions can be hard to interpret. But sometimes, when it's talking about the things that God is going to do for his people, they're a little bit more straightforward. You know, how God is going to come back and how he's going to judge and all these things that he's going to do, bringing judgment upon the nations. Sometimes that's a little bit difficult to follow. And there are even some things about what he's going to do for his own people that can be difficult to follow. But here in chapter 2 of Zechariah, we get a beautiful picture of what God is going to do in this vision. The section is a vision of a man with a measuring line. And so what happens here is Zechariah is getting measured. And he asks this man, what are you doing? And he's like, I'm going to measure Jerusalem, its height and its width. And then another man comes and he says, run to the young man, Jerusalem shall be inhabited as villages without walls, because of the multitude of people and livestock in it. And I will be to her a wall of fire all around, declares the Lord, and I will be the glory in her midst. Now, maybe you read that and are like, I need to read that again. But what a scene. First of all, I just love that part about the measuring line. God's measuring how many people there are going to be in Jerusalem, knowing how many people to prepare for. And just my mind went to, in Christ, it's kind of like he measures us to put his robe of righteousness on us. And right after that, it says that the people will be, the villages will be like people without walls. There'll be so many people that you can't make walls big enough to contain them. And as far as the defense, because walls were also used for defense, God himself will be a wall, it says it will be to her a wall of fire all around. I will be the glory in her midst. God is going to make this village of Jerusalem, the looking ahead to the future Zion, where every believer of every tribe, tongue, and nation comes to be God's people. It's going to be so big that it's just going to keep growing, and there's not going to be walls big enough. And God is going to be her defense. The walls were a big thing. We saw that in Nehemiah, wanting to rebuild the walls to defend from their enemies around. No longer are people going to have to worry about the enemies around, because God will be her defense. God will be the defense of his people, and his glory will be in their midst. That cannot be overstated, how important that is. That is something that has been a struggle throughout the whole Old Testament, about God, him and his glory dwelling in her midst. When Moses came down from the mountain, his face was glowing with the glory of the Lord, and the people were like, that's too much for us. Cover your face. God's glory is too much. And so he put a face covering on, but it's still showing through a little bit. And the glory of the Lord, at times left the temple when the people just won't listen to God and were so sinful. But then in New Testament times, God's glory comes to dwell in the person of Jesus and is among his people. What an important thing that is predicted here in this vision by Zechariah. That God will be among his people. His glory will be among his people, and they will be all without walls. God will be their defense. I pray that strengthens you as you go throughout your day, that God will be your defense. God's blessings on the rest of your day.